The views expressed during this program does not necessarily represent those of really any sane person with a brain. Listening to this program may actually kill brainwaves and make you dumber than you may already be. Listener discretion is advised. Really, because this show sucks to begin with.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Fat Guys. I'm Porterhouse, but I have two special guests with me today, as Powers still in Beijing, going through a few things. We have Gino, who you heard last week with his gambling prowess.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Kevin, who has not been on the show before, but is someone that has been threatening to come on the show a couple times, and we're finally able to make the schedules work out. How are you, Kev?
I'm doing great. I hope to be as good as Harry Doyle's color guy.
Well, that the best in the business. It doesn't get any better than that. If you can't see Kevin right now, but he does have the bottle of Jack right next to him, and he's ready to roll. So really start with the Super Bowl, and G, you were pretty good with your bets last week. Why don't you kick us off, sir?
Yeah. Well, final score was 23-20. So anybody that had that 4 or 4.5 pick, I hope you were betting on the Bengals with that. But when we talked last week and we talked about some of the bets, I was telling you about splitting my Ram bet, which I did. So although I didn't hit the Rams minus 6.5, I did hit the Rams minus 2.5, which was good. And we actually talked about one of the parlays, which actually was a pretty good one, which was the Ram money line plus Cup and Beckham to score plus an over in yards for Cup or Beckham, and that actually hit. So that was pretty good. So it was a good way to start. And when we talked last week, one of the things we actually talked about was if you liked an MVP bet, and we actually brought up Cooper Cup at plus 600. So if anybody bet that, good job on that, because at plus 600, that's a nice little hit.
Listen, I mean, I hit the under. I had the Rams laying the four, and I didn't get that. But you hit a lot. You did really well, to be honest with you. Kevin, who's not a degenerate gambler, what were your thoughts of the game itself?
I thought it was an interesting game. I thought there was a lot of dull moments, really, to be honest. I mean, it was a very defensive battle. A lot of 3 and outs, it felt like. Once, the Rams always seemed to be in second and long. They couldn't run the ball at all. They had, about 40 yards rushing and 22 carries or something.
2 yards a pop.
Yeah. And
43 yards.
And then for Cincy, of course, we all saw that controversial touchdown by Higgins there.
Blatant face mask.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I thought the first half, Zach Taylor called a game that they were trying to get the ball out of Burrow's hands very quickly to try to avoid the pressure. But by the second half, the Rams made the adjustments, and they really dominated the second half on the line. And Burrow got sacked 7 times.
It was funny watching the game, and there were 3 things that I took away from it. Number one, what you said, the first half, Cincinnati, first quarter was the Rams quarter. I don't think I've ever seen since Tony Romo a guy drop a perfect snap like that on an extra point in my life. But it helped me win a lot of money with my little points, so I'm more than happy with it. But nonetheless, I was watching that game, and Cincinnati looked like, especially in the second quarter, they looked like they had it all together. You go to the early part of the third quarter of that game, right? And they throw the bomb basically right away, right? They're down 3. They come up. They're up 17-13. And before you know it, the next pass basically from Stafford goes off the receiver's hands, picked off, and they have to settle for 3, right? So now it's a touchdown game when you thought they were starting inside the 30 and they had a real shot to kind of go up 2 scores, so to speak. But they didn't. The Rams held. And basically the Bengals did nothing the rest of the way. The last 27 minutes of the game, they were a non-factor offensively. And Kev, you bring up a great point. It looked like they were trying to get the ball out of his hands so quickly. All of a sudden you're seeing, they make the adjustment, right? They sit there and they move Donald around inside. They have somebody lined up over the center, the whole thing, and it's great to watch. And you're saying to yourself, why are they not rolling out Burrow? Why not? Yes, Kevin.
Well, I saw one of this analysis, Bill Barnwell's analysis. I know he goes really in depth on ESPN, and he brought up the fact that the second half, what the Rams were doing a lot was they would line five defensive linemen up across the line of scrimmage to show that they're going to come and have one-on-one battles. They always dropped one guy back. They only rushed 4, but it was a guessing game for the Bengals line to figure out which 4 were going to be the 4 rushing. So they were able to still drop the 7, cut out the underneath stuff. And we know from watching the playoffs and watching that Tennessee game that Bengal offensive line is not good.
I agree with you, and I agree with the assessment on it. G, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, we went through a huge portion of that second half, and it just seemed like it was just slow. It felt like the whole game slowed down. And, we talk about it. We talk about it like, at one point the Rams looked like they were in control, and then the second half looked like the Rams were starting to get it back after that first 2.5, 3 minutes of the half. But I looked at some of the stats, and it was so even that it's uncanny. Time of possession, 31-29 Rams, 31 minutes, 29 minutes. First downs, 17-15. Total yards, 313 for the Rams, 305 for the Bengals. Total plays, 66 Rams, 61 Bengals. I mean, you go down the list, and it's like every piece of this game seemed like it was just dead even. You had a couple of big plays here, a couple of big plays there. And other than that, the whole game just rolled along like it was just, there was nothing going on. So.
And when you see the stats, and you see the one big difference there was the 2 turnovers by the Rams and none for the Bengals. And typically, when you get that +2 turnover margin, you're going to win the game.
Yeah, but one of those turnovers
was the one in the end zone.
It's a non-factor in the turnover.
That was a punt, yeah.
Still 1-0 though. They still lost the turnover battle. Yeah. The other thing though that if Beckham plays,
it's a different game.
Because Van Jefferson, can run a fly pattern, right? Robert Woods has been out all year. Tyler Higbee didn't play in the game. The backup tight end got hurt. I mean, the Rams played with a little bit more adversity than the Bengals did. For everything being even, everything being really even, the Rams. You feel like if Beckham stayed in there, the Bengals would have struggled more. My biggest problem with the way the Bengals played this game was the entire fourth quarter and the last drive, to be honest with you. How they don't touch Kupp off the line on any snap. He had a free release on every snap, whether he was lined up in the slot, whether he was lined up wide, whatever it was. Nobody tried to break his rhythm, his timing, and they have nobody else to throw to. Okay, so now you're saying, okay, Van Jefferson beat me. I'm going to put one guy out there. I'm going to check him off the line, and I'm going to have somebody over the top. And the Bengals refused to do it. Even his first touchdown in the first half, the 13-3 touchdown, he did a great job of faking like he was going to come in for the block. Safeties both moved up. He went behind. That was as easy a pitch and catch touchdown as you could possibly have. But they let him have a release the whole game. I was stunned by how easy they let him off the line.
I feel like we see this so many times about these games where we see these receivers we see the defensive guys giving the receivers a 5 and 7 yard cushion so many games, game after game. And then a lot of times that's the difference in breaking the guy down, holding him to a 3 yard pass, a 10 yard pass instead of a 22 yard pass.
Well, it's all Cooper Kupp. And the other thing too is, with the running game non-existent, I think the Rams had, I was just looking up, 2 first downs rushing. One was a Stanford scramble, and the other one was Kupp on the 4th and 1.
Which was the play of the game. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it, because there was when you're watching that play live, Von Bell comes flying up, and he just didn't take a great angle. Kupp was able to beat him to the outside and then cut in. And Bell, I don't think Bell read it perfectly. If he would have, it would have been an exciting play. I'm not saying Kupp wouldn't have gotten the yard, But 4th and 1, I thought it was really interesting that they went with a wide run to a wide receiver.
No confidence in
that's
the
how
running
little
game.
confidence they had in the running game.
Yeah, I mean, Akers wound up 13 rushes for 21 yards. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're not winning a game when your running back, your lead running back is doing that. So,
and Gino, he had a 6-yard run in that last drive. He was like 12 for like 15 going into. He had that 6-yard run that got him the first down inside the 10, and and then I'm thinking to myself like the Chief game, where I was like, Mahomes has him inside the 5. Don't score to her. I'm going through that. And then I'm like, wait a second. The Bengals have already shown they can stop this stuff. So it was kind of interesting. And then they had 3 penalties called in a row. There was a game without penalties.
yeah.
And then they called 3 in a row. Now, here's the thing. I mean, if you're a Bengal fan, you really can't cry about the lack of flags or the calling of flags, because your only big touchdown was an offensive interference that was somewhat blatant. But I thought the first flag on Wilson covering Kupp over the middle was a little ticky-tack.
Especially when you saw some of the stills from some of the earlier stuff, when you got the couple guys grabbing the jerseys and not calling those holds. That was ticky-tack. The PI I thought was PI.
Well, he got mugged. I mean, the third one was the right call. The holding and the personal foul, probably both right as well. It was just the first one that I would be like, wow, with all the stuff they let go. Didn't expect them to let that go. And I know what you're saying about the Burrow thing. I would have rolled away from Donald anyway. I got to be honest with you. I know what you're saying before. I would have probably had a few pass patterns, rolled away from Donald, and had Chase line up in the slot and just throw like quick little 6 and 7 yard outs, and maybe he makes somebody miss. Because Kevin, we were in communication, all 3 of us during the game. We just weren't as much as normal because we were at different times in the game. You were on a little more delay. Usually I'm on the higher delay, but this time it was you, Kev. And Kevin was texting early, and he's been texting for a month now, every week. Jalen Ramsey equals overrated. Jalen Ramsey equals overrated. Jalen Ramsey equals over. And you know what? These great receivers are beating him on a weekly basis, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Jalen Ramsey is a good, solid cornerback, but to put him up there as one of the best in the league, I just don't see him being top 2 or 3, top 10 probably. That's how I mean he's overrated.
I mean, we take him on the Jets, but
he'd be our number 1 corner. I mean, let's be honest.
A lot of times these cornerbacks, they're really good for 1 year, but in this league with all these great receivers, all it takes is you losing 1 step. If you're a cornerback and you're losing 1 step on these receivers, it's the complete difference from getting beat and not getting beat.
It's funny, Gino, because you bring that up and you're right. The thing is about Jalen, I don't even think it's the step. You know what he doesn't do well is he doesn't track the deep ball well. It seems like he's in somewhat position, but somehow, someway, the receiver is able to get that last-second separation. Even the last drive, when the Rams stopped them, that first play where they threw the ball to Chase on the out, Chase did that last-second little, like, he bursted quickly out to his right at the time, facing the quarterback, and Ramsey tried to undercut it, but he couldn't because Chase just outsmarted him on the pass pattern and picked up an extra 15 yards. It seems like his ball tracking is where he's off, because he seems like he's there most of the time. Listen, you can't blame him on the face mask play, but a lot of other passes he's been beaten pretty good. And I thought Chase kind of abused him. I was just stunned they weren't trying to throw more 3 and 5 yard hitches to Chase, 3 and 5 yard hitches to T. Higgins. I just thought that was going to be where they would win the game. And they really didn't use Uzoma at all. They just kind of pretended the tight end didn't exist, but they didn't keep him in the block either. It was like, what are you going to keep somebody in? Keep somebody in to hit one of these linemen, because there's too many guys from the Rams.
Yeah.
Just a little bit crazy. Overall, the Super Bowl is never a great game. Let's be honest. The commercial breaks are way longer. The halftime show is way too long. There's really no flow. There's no home crowd ever, even though they were playing at home. It's a bunch of rich people that are going to that 23rd Super Bowl that really don't cheer much, and they get all excited, and it doesn't have that feel of a football game. It just doesn't.
The Rams are used to it. They never play in a home game.
You're 100% right. LA fans don't do much, and it's kind of funny how that works out. But you watch